Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the MPNFL GameFace Netball Show. Welcome back, Lou.
Thank you. It's good to be here after a couple of weeks off.
Absolutely. So you've just been off golfing around Australia?
Just golfing around Australia, a couple of little trips here and there. Queensland, Adelaide, Sydney. It's been nice to get around finally, but who knows where I'm going to... I'll probably be here for the next month because unfortunately... it's back here. Sad as it again.
Absolutely. Hopefully we don't go into too much of a lockdown, but this week hasn't brought us great news in respect to COVID. And
yeah, hopefully it looks like that, the government are really looking forward to hopefully just putting those restrictions in place. So just so you're aware, we actually record this show a little bit earlier on in the week. So we have our masks here, but it's not mask. It's not...
we don't have to wear them officially yet. We're just squeezing it in before Tuesday night. Well, we have the ball, our mid-season ball, in a couple of weeks, and I know that we're negotiating with Crib Point at the moment to see if we can change some of those games to an earlier time slot. And I was emailing them today, and I said, well, maybe it's not going to be so important if the ball doesn't go ahead. We might not even be playing netball, let alone worrying about a ball. But I said, let's see if we can move them anyway and stay positive and fingers crossed we can get to the ball.
Hopefully it's just these next couple of days and we get through it like we have been in the last couple of flare-ups and we can continue on our merry ways.
It's a bit devastating for us over on the peninsula. We never seem to have any of the hotspots, touch wood, or any of those things, but we still have to lock ourselves down. Good thing that do the things right.
Yes, that's right.
All right, so I thought that it's good that you've come back today, Lou, because there's a lot of stuff that's happened from YCW over the last week or so. So we'll get you to cover off on a few of those things. And you just mentioned it then that you had a big function on Saturday with all of your Stone Kittens.
Yes, we did. We had our team of the decade. So we have been around for 10 years now. So there's a few clubs that have been around longer and there's obviously a few doing it this year as well. Mm-hmm. So we had our big celebration on Saturday and our president, but me being an events manager, I've been absent for the last month pretty much. So our president took on the duties and did an absolutely wonderful job. We were lucky enough to have Peter Murphy come down and speak to the girls, and Kate Maloney actually presented all our players with their Team of the Decade plaque. One thing, we'll just run through who the Team of the Decade was. So Absolutely. Our goal shooter was Jess Mazarak, goal attack Ash Whitnell, wing attack Brooke Cant, centre Leanne Strickland, wing defence Tamara Booker, goal defence Courtney Janssens, goalkeeper the one and only Lachey Barry, and on the interchange it was our captain Steph Bolton, Katie Schneider and Erin Mead.
Very unusual that you've chosen your captain to be sitting on the bench.
It was just the way it came through. Steph's
going to be just giving some directions from the bench there.
She was selected as captain through her accolades as captain throughout the 10 years. She's been captain quite a few times of the A-grade side. And then the coach was Rebecca Marr, keeping the name strong because I was never going to get there in playing or coaching. No, Beck's been, we've had some, one of the biggest things that I've taken from this was that most of the girls in this team are still actually involved in the club. So we've got Ash, Brooke, Tam, Courtney and Lachey all still playing A-grade, which is fantastic.
And we've found that we had Langwarren's Team of the Decade last week and I think Taya the week before, and all of those teams are still very much heavily still on court. So just saying how much and I know experience is across there.
And I know Jess would love to be, some of these girls have had some really tough seasons, not, always finishing that 6th, 7th and then 5th place. And this year they're really starting to see all that work come together. So it's really good for them to be able to see that and take those positions. There was a few really stiff to miss out in my eyes, with your different criteria. I know we talked about it earlier on in the season with how people select, and we went out to all our A-grade coaches, so some of them wouldn't have seen some players or even know that they'd played because they weren't there around. So
sure.
Fiona Smith I thought was really stiff to miss out. She was I don't think she was League BNF, but
she would have been around in the inception years, I'm guessing.
No, it was a little bit later. I think it was the
mid-decade.
Yeah, middle
of the decade.
Bet got her down an absolute gun, so she was very stiff to miss out there.
Very good player.
Tilly Garrett. So
that was one that I was very surprised with. I saw the list, and when you said there was a few girls that were tough to miss out, I went, "Hang on a minute, isn't she playing with Adelaide Thunderbirds now?" I'm like, and she doesn't make your team of the decade.
So she did, but she only played one season and very minimal games. So when you've got your other criteria that clubs put into there. Unfortunately, Tilly missed out. And I thought someone else, Brooke Longmate, was there at our inception years and was one of our great goalers. So I thought she was a little bit stiff to miss out as well. But as we said, there's not, when you've got your
there's not that many positions on a netball court.
No, that's the hardest
it's very
thing.
small selection. Yeah, absolutely.
Small selection and different people with different ideas as well. So, we had a rating system with all coaches and that's what came. So a huge congratulations to those girls. I know there's, they were super stoked to get that.
Been awarded that.
My
and
sister
celebrated quite heavily.
Yes, everyone celebrated. My sister actually said she was waiting to get married so that the Ma name was still up in the club. In the netball side of things to keep Dad happy. So I'm not too sure how that goes down, but we'll go with it.
Yeah, I'm sure that he'd like to see the daughter walk down the aisle more than maybe the name up on the board.
I don't know. He'd be pretty happy with the name on the board.
You can still keep the name up on the board. All right. Well, that kind of leads me into, I guess, talking about.
I'll help you out here. Talking about the umpire votes.
Yeah.
Going from team of the decade votes
Thank you.
into the umpire votes.
It didn't really segue in there at all, and that's why I said, no, it doesn't really remind me at all.
But no, I don't know, you had an interesting situation on the weekend that came across against a team that didn't know that we were voting.
So I just thought it was a good chance to take the opportunity to talk to everybody who listens in on the show just around the fact that it's new this year, and so there's some clubs that are probably doing it better than others, and at the end of the game, particularly if there's been a big margin or it's been really competitive, we don't necessarily want to have a lengthy chat with your opposition captain, but A and B grade teams this year, both captains at the completion of the game have to meet to determine who they felt was the best umpire on the court, and that vote goes in through our online system and will go towards a MPNFL Umpire of the Year award, which they are calculating the votes throughout the season. And interestingly, I don't normally do the signing of the sheet or this type of stuff. I normally leave it to Emily Roberts, who unfortunately is injured at the moment. So I had the privilege of being able to do that at the end of the game, and I pulled aside the captain, Jess at Devon Meadows, and I said, "Hey Jess, come over, let's have a chat. Who do you think was the best umpire today?" And she said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "We've got to decide who's the best umpire and we've got to put in the vote." And she's gone, "I know, I've got no idea what you're talking about." I said, "Well, that's fine. It's our home game. I'll enter it." So we had a chat, agreed on who we felt was the best umpire, and off we went. And I thought, well, I wonder how many other clubs
out there. So we have had a few reminders from the league that clubs need to be doing that, along with some other reminders in terms of paperwork. But it's a really important thing. I know, especially for players, they're probably the first people to criticise umpires, and this is an opportunity for us to show Team White that we're in their corner and supporting them, because you want to be rewarding those that are really putting their foot forward and trying to develop. Umpiring is not an easy thing. There's not very many people that put their hands up to do it. So if we can make sure that our A and B grade teams are
having that conversation at the end of the game, and the home team captain is the one who submits through who they've decided. And just on that, I don't think it's a lot to ask, considering that we can just choose one umpire. I know that one out of the two.
They have to choose 3 players.
Yeah, they've got to choose
an umpire at the same time.
They've got to choose league best and fairest votes at the end. So they've got to choose 3 players from the court who they believe, was the best and fairest, and be able to submit those votes. So I think if they can, try and do that on top of umpiring the game, the least what we can do is pick the best out of the two of them.
100%.
Anyway, so it was just a reminder, because again, it's interesting, and not throwing under the bus, Jess, because I know that you don't do it each week, but just making sure that all of the A and B grade girls get on to do that. Let's talk about some milestones.
Let's move on to the milestone game. So I do have to apologise. I got a text message from yourself and Anna, but to my credit, we didn't actually know it was coming up so quickly, and we didn't know it was that week until it was posted. But
so that's not really to your credit.
Well, Yeah.
Yeah, you did. As what are you, club president or netball president?
Yeah, but I don't look after the milestone games.
Come on, girl.
I delegate that.
All right.
So a huge congratulations to Steph Bolton. She was one of the girls involved in starting the netball. And has
obviously
been a club
team
president,
of the decade captain now, 100 games as well.
100 games. So I was very lucky or proud to be able to coach her in her 100 games. I've played a couple of premierships with Steph, so that was nice.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Congratulations for last week, Steph. And then moving on to this week, I mean, Rosebud need to get a high five for they're always straight on to their milestone games. Probably the best club that are telling us when in advance of when these are, so we can give the girls a shout out.
Yes.
So make sure you are doing that. But we've got Nicole Hadkiss playing her 50 games down at Rosebud in the A grade team.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that Nicole, did she come in late or did she play for another club? Because 50 games, I feel like I've just seen her running around for a long time.
I was thinking the same thing when I saw her down there. So we'll have to
Nicole,
get, if you're listening, girls, let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Nicole, I feel like I thought you were at Rosebud for a lot longer than that. So tell us what's happened there. And then obviously Ellie David from Rosebud as well. But she's notched up the 100 games.
So great achievements both there and over in Div 2. We have a stalwart of the league notching up 150 games this year. She had first joined Summy in 2013. She coached the 13 and 14 B grade flags, played in the 16, 17, 18 and 19 B grade flags. So that's 6 out of 7 flags.
I'm blushing, so I'm having some wine.
She's a league BNF in 2018, MPNFL Coach of the Year, and all of this before she was 21 years old, playing her 150 games this weekend. Is our very own Christy Marshall. So congratulations. That's an awesome achievement, and those accolades, you can tell why you're who you are. You're very successful. There's not too many people that can say they've won 6 out of 7 years flags. So that's, that whole team. You've kept a similar team for most of those years as well. So doing some great things down there in Summy and 150 games. I know you're doing your rehab every week to try and get yourself up for all of these games. So.
I know the president, Rowan, has messaged me the last couple of weeks and said, you make sure that you don't get injured. Don't you get injured? I'm like, mate, every week I'm bloody injured. It is hard work pulling up from the games. And we spoke about that last week about having the year off and how soft tissue injuries and all of those type of things are really hard this year. And my goodness, am I feeling it? And I'm feeling every single one of those 21 years. And so...
Well, we can't wait to see your 700th before you're 30.
Yeah, absolutely.
And have you got some big celebrations coming up this weekend, or just will depend on probably the COVID?
It will depend on the COVID, whether my celebrations go ahead or not. Look, to be honest, I'm really pleased to have reached the 150 games, but...
Does that make you a life member at Somerville? I know some clubs have different
I think so.
numbers. Yep.
We'll see if they allow me in. See if I've made it,
There's plenty of seasons there, so...
I don't know how much more I've got in me. But anyway, that's another story. But thank you. And so for anybody else who is celebrating their big milestones, please send through the information. I do troll through your Facebook pages as well sometimes to get that information, but it would be really lovely if you send it through to us, because if you can give us some background information on the girls, particularly the ones that are starting to reach those 100, 150 games.
They're huge milestones,
Devon
so we need to celebrate them.
Last week we had 200-odd game players, so they deserve a little bit of spotlight time, so please send it through. Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about the results that we had from last week's game. Now, you had the cameras down at your game on Saturday, Lou.
Yeah, with a huge thanks to Anytime Fitness with our highlights package, the biggest fitness community in Australia. We were lucky enough to get through some really cool highlights from the game, and our team, both Rosebud and YC, are able to watch that footage back and see. It was a great game. We played it early with our Ladies' Day, so it was a 9:45 start. I'm not too sure that the A-grade girls were used to the dew on the ball at that time of the morning.
So all games were on at the same time?
So we had 2 games at 9:45 and 2 games at 11.
Okay.
And a quick rush across. Some girls went home to beautify themselves or rush across to get ready for our big celebrations. But it was the start of the game. Lockie and I both looked at each other and it was very just clumsy, not clumsy, fumbly is the word I'm looking for. It was pretty fumbly, but it was a great game.
There we go. There was just an example of Shani just coming over the top there and tipping the ball, just to cause a turnover there.
And some great, there was some, the pressure of the game you see here. There's no easy ball a lot of the time.
Taking up every inch of the court there just to be able to pull that one through.
And Emma White, I don't think she missed a goal for the first 3/4 of the match. She was on fire, just popping them up every time she got that ball. Nice long range. It's really cool to be watching this. We don't get to see it as much, so it's great that we're able to get this footage and see some of these top matches in play.
We're just mesmerised, aren't we, watching the game? Obviously, you've seen the game already live, Lou, so this is the first time that I've seen some of this footage. And, I think some of the comments that we've heard through the GameFace studio today is about how fast the games are. And, it really is a testament to the girls around. Oh, hang on, had she released the ball? Was she in? Was she out? Just how quickly the ball moves on an A-grade court. Ash shoots incredibly quickly. I know that as I've played against her many a times.
And you just watch this ball here.
Absolutely.
I think it's this
is
Shani.
Some beautiful footage here. So how's that for a front cut drive?
Straight onto the ring.
Hit the circle.
That's what you want to see.
Defenders were left wondering where she'd gone. And then just a really fantastic balk of the ball there.
Well, Shay looked a bit lost then. Didn't know what was going on?
Where did it go? And then a bit of an obstruction and shoot through for one of her many, many goals. So it's fantastic that the team have got down there, and that's a fantastic intercept there. Again, just using every inch of the court to be able to keep that inside.
It was such a high-pressure game that there were, all of those mistakes. When you've got that pressure on, you make those mistakes or you get those intercepts. When you're putting pressure on, there's another ball from Shani, just so athletic, coming over the top sometimes. You just watch her with, I think I picked my jaw up off the table a couple of times with some of the intercepts that she did take. But
beautiful intercept. So the score there, unfortunately, you went down.
Yeah, we did go down. So we were just outplayed. And that's something that the girls can really, learn from moving forward. They've, lost the last 2 weeks. Red Hill, they just couldn't get it back. They started a bit slow and couldn't get that back. And then this week they were like the third quarter, Rosebud just put their foot down and really ran away with it in that third quarter. The premiership quarter, as some may say. So
took away the win 46-36 in the end.
They were just with Shani in there. She'd just come over the top sometimes and.
Every team would love our little Shani just running around in the centre court there.
Absolutely. So, unfortunately, we went down. Another surprising one, I thought it was a little bit surprising, but probably was Sorrento beating Bombers, given a couple of the games that Bombers have played. They beat Red Hill the other week, but they have lost.
In a close game, though.
In a close game, yes. Yep. They did lose it in, I think I was talking to one of their players more in the last quarter. Mm-hmm. But A-grade, they did lose Cara Humbert to a season-ending ACL. She did her ACL,
huge loss for Frankston Bombers, and they'd only
Bombers.
Just secured her for this year. I've actually played a few games with Cara at Waverley, and her elevation is just next level.
And brought something else to that team and lifted those girls. So unfortunately, they're going to have to dig deep and find something else to cover that hole, I guess, or gap that she leaves.
And wishing Cara a speedy recovery. I know that she's a bit of a fitness fanatic. She works in the industry as well, I believe, and, really Absolutely. Hoping that she, is up and about and recovered as soon as she can. And
there wasn't any too many surprises in Div 1 this week. We did have a really close game with Red Hill just going down to EDS by 1 goal. So that was in the A grade. That would have been awesome to watch, I'm sure, those last few minutes when in such a close game. You love the hype and everything around every goal and all the passion that comes through. So Red Hill, I'm really excited to see what they do towards the tail end of this year. Mm-hmm. A great team. Loved watching them last week. No real surprises in the 17. Some really big scores, which is, I think that was your
I've had some big ones. Yep.
And then Rosebud YC, there was a draw in D grade. So
although, your Rosebud under-17s had a huge score, 56 versus Bond Beach's 9. So that's
the one I was
that's a bit
circled.
of a big one. Yep.
And then Bond Beach beat Pines by a goal, also in D grade. So a couple of close games in D grade, but no real surprises across the rest of the games. Just some consistent wins that you would think would have happened based on the ladders at the moment.
All right. So moving on to Division 2. So our D grade, so throwing to Somerville versus Devon Meadows was the only draw for the round. So 33 goals apiece. Somerville came home really well in the last quarter. They had been down the entire game, and it was the only... Well, we're not going to call it a loss. It was the only non-win that we had for the day, so we counted it as a win when we went back to the club rooms afterwards.
Technicality.
Absolutely.
Didn't lose, still get points.
It was, but I think between Summy and Devon in the C and D grades were some of the closest games across the...
You had some big scores. I know your team.
Yeah, that was in the higher grades, but in our C grade, Somerville, we only won 38-33, so that was one of the smaller margins in the competition. But you're right, when we moved into the A and B, we had some pretty nice percentage boosters there, which it was interesting talking to Jess when I spoke about that earlier, and I said, where are all the girls from Devon? It was a completely different side than I'd seen before, and she said that there was a few girls that had decided that they were probably a little bit too old, maybe after COVID season, and decided to hang up their boots. And it was a disappointing, because I'm thinking, well, I'm still running around, so even though I'm only 21, but it's a shame.
Either ignited your passion to play a little bit longer,
or you've decided that there's other things in life, and with kids' commitments and things, depending on how old they are, they start coming into doing their own sport and things on Saturdays. So it was a real shame, because you do get used to seeing certain players for clubs, and so just hoping that they're obviously probably going to go through a bit of a rebuild now, and work through getting some extra players down through there. Another really close game in B grade was Taya versus Chelsea. So Taya won that game 39-37. It was played down at Taya, and we'd played those two clubs, in the last few weeks. Really, really tough competition. So it would have been a fantastic game, and Taya just taking the chocolates there, which means that they are now outright winners or leaders in the ladder of B grade. And interestingly, just brought up the ladder information, is that there is a clear winner now in every ladder in Division 2.
I think that's the case for Division 1 as well.
So there's one team in A, B, C, D and under-17s all that are undefeated. So Langwarrin in A grade undefeated, Tyabb in B grade undefeated, Chelsea in C grade, Chelsea also in D grade, and Pearsdale in under-17s. So a bit of a mix, other than Chelsea taking the C and the D. And then, it's really close then for everybody who's in the top 5 that's kind of following it. So it's super, super tight. But other than that, across the board, Langwarrin, like I said, undefeated in A grade, had a good win against Rye. Although Rye, I think, again, a lot more competitive this season. They've recruited really well. So it definitely wasn't a blowout by any stretch of the imagination. And Seaford had a really good win against Coringal, and Chelsea beat Tyabb in the A grade 51-43. So some really good games there. And then, you kind of touched on it before. We had some big scores in our under-17. So they still play a 12-minute quarter. They're still not playing the full 15 minutes. Langwarrin was able to shoot 74 goals in that.
That's huge.
In that under-17 game. So really big. Crib Point also.
So Langwarrin's going to be a fierce A grade contender in the next couple of years if they can
keep those girls together. And Crib Point in the under-17s also just a lazy 60 goals that they shot in that time as well. Chelsea not far behind with 57. So some really big scores that are being...
that just goes to what we were speaking about before with that footage of the YC Rosebud, how fast-paced it can be. And, you can get a few goals in a minute in some instances if it's just bang, bang, bang.
And also, how amazing was the weather on the weekend? I don't think... for a winter sport, if we could have that Saturday weather every round, that was conducive of high-scoring games because it was just beautiful. It was
a lovely winter's day.
It was sunscreen kind of weather, and so it does make it a little bit easier if you're not competing against the rain, wind, snow, everything else that we have to face every other round.
And you had a big, there was a big in for one of your teams. In Div 2 in the A grade that we
did have. Yes, there was and it's made the local newspapers. It's been across the social media, and that was Taylor Harris has pulled on a dress and got a kit on for Hastings on the weekend. So there's no end to the amount of talent that those Hosking girls can pull into the Hastings club. So Taylor Harris, I don't think anyone, you'd have to be under a rock if you've missed the footage. I know GameFace put it on their Facebook page, but so she took the court. I was really surprised actually to see that she had the wing attack bib on. I don't know. I guess I just assumed that she would be, kind of more of a bookend player, but she's sitting there in wing attack.
Apparently she hasn't played before, but I know some people think it's hard to have never played a netball game across your whole life.
Yeah, I feel like through school you would have had to have, have played some sort of level of netball sometime during your life, even if it's just through school sports or whatever the case may be. But the rumour has it, and I'd love to know if this is true. So someone let me know if they were at the game. Taylor, come and let me know, or Jess Hosking as well, is that the first touch that she had of the netball was actually a punch from behind. So whether she was a little confused whether it was AFL or whether it was boxing or netball, either or, but I understand that was her first touch in the Hastings dress. So, but they didn't come away with the win, unfortunately. But they got a little bit of celebrity kudos. All right, and last but not least, just in the games from last week, we did have the Swordfish Game of the Week, which was Somerville versus Devon Meadows in the C grade, and the winner of the Swordfish Award was Somerville's Olivia Kingston. So congratulations, Liv. You were the GameFace Player of the Week. So you will have someone from Swordfish reach out to you to offer you with a pizza and a wine down at Swordfish in Mornington. Yeah, Liv will be very happy with that, I'm sure. It's a rumour show. All right, I am going to hand you one to open. Which one do you want? Do you want your division or do you want mine?
Give me Div 2. Let's mix it up.
All right, well, I'll start with Division 1. Let's see what's going on here, and then you can do Division 2s. Okay, Division 1. Which team has signed on a current Vixens player to play some matches next season?
Nice one. Oh, look, playing Rosebud and having Shani on the court, I might just try and sneak into her area and get her to come across to us next year.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lockie, but...
I was going to say, I think Lockie might have...
he seems to have some pull down there with
he might have
ex-Diamond coaches, so who knows?
He might have some words to say about that. I don't think that they'll be letting her go at any time soon. But, yeah, obviously Shani, who was a Collingwood training partner,
that's just probably a testament to the league at the moment with the calibre of players we do have playing across all both Div 1 and Div 2, that these players are coming down to play in this league because it's such good competition and they are some really great players there, and it just gives the A grade some more to aspire to watching these players week after week. So if we can get a Vixen to come in and play a couple of games, I don't think, I think the opposition, I know from our girls, they were still just in awe of being able to watch someone at the level above them play and just get some tips off them while they are on the court as well.
Absolutely, let alone a Vixens player. Disappointed that's Division 1, and that means that it's not no one's necessarily signed on at Somerville. I can guarantee that that's not the case at the moment, but that would have been nice. So tell me what...
get Kate Maloney in a YC top on the weekend.
So she was down at your Ladies' Day, wasn't she?
She was down at the Ladies' Day, but I can safely say I have not put pen to paper there, so it must be someone else along the way.
I wonder what the budget would be to sign that on.
It'll be a lot more than I've got in my bank account, that's for sure.
Need a nice sponsor to come along and look at that for us. All right, tell me what's going on in my division.
Div 2. Which Division 2 player was caught driving the porcelain bus during Ladies' Day? Not after, during Ladies' Day.
So that's a tactical.
A tactical. so they can keep on going.
If you can get in early.
Well, there's been plenty of ladies' days happening around the moment. So who's dobbed someone in?
Someone's dobbed someone in. You know, to be perfectly honest, I don't think that's... There's going to be a few people who are going to go, well, that might have been me that they were talking about.
During Ladies' Day adds a different level. I'm sure there was a few...
Well, it just depends. Are you talking from experience, Lou? More of a morning after?
No, not necessarily from experience. Just depends what happens during.
It's not what I heard, Lou.
Well, it wasn't me because I wasn't during, and I'm not in Div 2.
Correct.
So who knows? Thanks again to all of our sponsors who make this show possible, Swordfish Mornington and the Frankston RSL. We really appreciate your support.
Thanks, right. And so we'll see you next week, coming to you with more netball news. Again, if you've got any gossip, milestone games or anything like that, then please leave us a message through the Facebook page, and we will use that information on the show next week.
Get your GameFace on.